Hi everyone, it's Andrea. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I am doing a reviewer's request. What better video than what you all have requested? So I thank several people for requesting this video because sometimes I think I've covered it all, only to figure out, no, there's still so much I need to go over. So that's what we're doing today. Today's video is all about journaling, how to properly journal all of your notarial acts. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So when I first started, and mind you, I'm in Maryland, when I first started, I received this journal here. This is when I first became a notary. And in this journal, it talks about the notarization date and time, document date, type of notarization, name of signer, signer's signature, the address and telephone number, how your signer identified themselves, what ID they gave you, the description of document, and then it asks about your fee and it asks about your thumbprint. So in the state of Maryland, if you're using this type of journal, you needed to insert all of your notarial information on a separate line. So for example, on average, we get what? Anywhere between 10 to 15 documents that need to be notarized in a refinance. Every single document would need its own line item. So deed of trust, the signature name affidavit, the I don't know, a grant deed, every single thing needed its own line item. And so you would have to print every single thing over and over and over again. So if you had 10 documents that need to be notarized, each needed its own line item, and you could not use the little 2 dots that indicated use the information up above. You could not use that. So you'd have to keep printing 10 times the name of the signer over and over and over again. The signer would then need to sign 10 times. And you would need to keep doing it over for every single document. I don't have that kind of time. So this was never my friend. So I found a journal that works for me. And here is the journal here. I've talked about it before. You can find a link for it down below. It's sold right on Amazon. It's relatively cheap. I like this journal. I like this journal for several reasons. As a notary, there are 2 things that are our most important parts of our job. There are 2 things that are they're key. They're key for us to be a notary. Number 1 is to properly identify the signer. So this helps us keep all of that information straight. Number 2 is keeping personal information confidential. So this journal here, I did not care for because let's say I had 10 pieces of information here. So let's say Susie has 10 pieces. There was 10 documents that need to be notarized, all of her information here, okay? But then I'm down here at my next signing appointment with John, and John can see all of Susie's information. I did not like that at all. Someone did invent, it was something that, this is a sheet of paper, but they did invent something that covered all of the personal information. But I didn't want to buy that. I didn't want to buy one more thing. So this was never my friend because it took up too much time and it was not keeping information confidential. All it took would be for someone to flip that little thing over and then they would see all of Susie's information. I did not like that. So this journal helps with that because these 2 documents are for one closing. And then if I go to my next closing with John, all I'm doing is flipping over the paper. And so Susie's information is not viewable. So I really like that about this journal. All right. So let me share my screen so I can share with you exactly what the inside of the journal looks like. All right, so this is what the journal looks like. And I'm going to go quick, but then towards the end of the video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I fill in this journal. So here's the date and time. I would fill this in. I would fill in the signer's name here. I put in how I identified the signer. So I put most likely the driver's license, and I put the driver's license number. This is the willingness and competency. So let's stop share for a moment. Let's do a quick review of oaths and affirmations and acknowledgements, jurats, all of that. So let's say you were just getting one document notarized, and it was this refinance affidavit. If you looked at the notarial section, your section, it would read something like, on such and such day before me, Andrea, Notary Public personally appeared Susie Smith, who proved to me on the basis of satisfactory evidence to be the person whose name is subscribed to the within instrument and acknowledged to me that she executed the same in her authorized capacity, and that by this signature on the instrument, the person or the entity upon behalf of which the person executed the instrument. So in essence, I'm saying this section is saying that Susie signed and she acknowledged that this is her signature. This is an acknowledgement. It's an acknowledgement. And so the language that goes along with an acknowledgement, and please note I'm using language that's used in the state of Maryland, so just make sure you're following your state laws. But in the state of Maryland, the language that goes along with an acknowledgement is, are you signing these documents willingly? That's it. So if I was only getting this document notarized, then that would be the statement that I would give her. However, if I was only getting this document notarized, this is a signature name affidavit, and it reads in my notarial language, subscribed and sworn to or affirmed before me on this 19th day of February 2022 by Susie J. Smith. All right, so this here is a jurat. So I'm going to give her the oath for a jurat. And so what I say, and again, using Maryland language, do you solemnly affirm under penalties of perjury and upon personal knowledge that the information in these documents are accurate to the best of your knowledge? That is the jurat or oath that is associated with this language. So if I was only getting this one document signed and notarized, then that would be the language that I would say to Susie, and she would say, I do, or yes, or something along those lines. If I am getting an entire refinance packet, so this is a refinance packet, then I know that there are going to be several oaths. There are probably going to be, several acknowledgements. There's probably going to be several jurats in there. So this is what I say, this is what I say to the signer. There are several documents in this refinance packet that require you to take an oath. For example, the deed of trust. So I am going to administer the oath now, and it will be in effect throughout the duration of the closing. Please note that this is allowed by Maryland law. However, there are some states that require that every time you get to one of those documents that need to be notarized, you give them the appropriate language. But in Maryland, we do not have to say it over and over again. I let them know that from here on out, it will be in effect. So Let's go back to sharing the screen. So this is the willingness and competence. So when you gave them the oath, they expressed willingness. You could tell that they were mentally alert and they indicated understanding of what was going on here. And then I put in that this is a paper closing, or if it is electronic closing. RON is remote online notarization. That's what that stands for. I am not yet a RON notary, but I'm looking into it. But the company that I'm interested in is not yet in Maryland, so I'm trying to hold out. All right, so as we work down that first page, these documents here and over here, let me go to the next page. So as we work down this page, these documents here and over here, these are our standard documents that can be found in a refinance. Okay, so they try to make this easy as possible for us. So we'd X off what documents we're working with. We'd quickly look over the language and we determine whether this is an acknowledgement or a jurat. This space here is if you're doing something different. For example, a copy certification or a witness signing. You put that there. And then it wants to know how many people signed this document. So how many signers, not you, how many people outside of you had to sign these documents. Then if we work our way to the next column, down here, we're typically working, this is for vehicle closings. So if you were doing something dealing with a title to a vehicle, that's this section in the pink. In the blue, we're now working with health documents. If it's a HIPAA release, if it's a power of attorney, that's what this is for. And again, we're putting whether it was an acknowledgement or a jurat, the number of signers over here. And oftentimes you have to fill in this section too, because not everything is listed. Not everything is listed. So you are Xing off the box and you're printing the title of the document that needs to be notarized. And then again, you're asking if this is acknowledgement, jurat, and it even gives you a copy oath, a certification, oath. And then again, you're circling how many people were at a signing. So let's go to the next page. Then I'm writing signing address, if other people were in attendance, client signing service, whoever contracted me, the lender, or maybe even the loan number, the fee. Here I'm indicating any additional notes. And so I'll go into greater detail with that when I work through this document. And then here, this is where, this section here is where the signer would fill in. So then the signer is going to put in their address, they're going to put in their phone number, their email address, and their signature. So they are signing this document, letting it be known in essence that you put them under oath, that you gave them you gave them the acknowledgement language, sign. And did you give them the oath language? Yes, you did. Initial here. Now, in the state of Maryland, we're not required to do a right thumbprint. However, in some states, it is a requirement. So if that's the case, you can do the right thumbprint. In Maryland, it's not required, but I do have the ink pad should I ever decide to start using the thumbprint. Okay, but I do have that. So let's actually work through the document. Let's pretend I have a signing. And it's going to be a little clunky since I'm using Adobe, but I want to show you firsthand exactly what I do. So I get to their home, I have their IDs, I put in today's date. Let's say today's date is February 19th, 2022. This signing is at 11 a.m. So this is the signer. The signer's name is Susie Smith. what did Susie Smith give me as ID? She gave me her driver's license. So I put an X in the driver's license box and I type in her driver's license number. In Maryland, our driver's license number is pretty long. 765 432 123. All right. So then I administer the oath to them. I give them the acknowledgement. I give them the jurat language. And at that point, I'm able to do this. I'm able to say, okay, they expressed willingness. They were mentally alert, and they indicated understanding of what was going on. And this is a paper closing. And then I'm going to hand them, or rather Susie, the book. Susie is going to fill in this information. So her address is 123 Elm Street. It's in Baltimore, Florida, 90210. All right. Susie's phone number is 443-757-1234. Her email is susiesigner@gmail.com. Okay. And then Susie is going to sign right here. And then she's also, if I had to administer the oath, she's also going to initial. And I'm not going to get her right thumbprint because it's not required in Maryland, but I can. All right. So then Susie is done. We're able to rock and roll through the documents. Let's go. Starting with the closing disclosure and the settlement statement and the note and the deed of trust and the first payment. I mean, we're rocking and rolling through this signing. Great, wonderful. Get to the end. I get to the end. I double check my documents to make sure I haven't missed anything, make sure that there's nothing that they reject. We're done. I get to my car. I am checking my documents again, but while I'm checking my documents, I'm also filling in my journal. Now, this is what I do. You will create a system that works for you. And I do want to emphasize, create a system that works for you. Because what works for me may not be what works for you, but at the same time, you want to be consistent with whatever system you create. Therefore, you do not forget to do your journal. So as long as you know to keep doing it a certain way, whatever way you plan to do it, then you're not going to miss anything. All right. So then let's go back and share the screen. Okay. So now I'm going back. And I'm filling in all of this information. So I'm using this column here and a few over here, possibly. So I reviewed an actual closing, and this is what I came up with. Now keep in mind, all closings are different. You have different amounts of documents that need to be notarized. It will not be the same for everybody. All right, so I had a compliance agreement. That compliance agreement was an acknowledgement, and there was only one signer. Throughout this entire thing, there was only one signer. So I'm going to fill in all of this information. So the next one is the deed of trust. And that deed is an acknowledgement and only one signer. Got it? I'll move that a little bit so that can be in there, but whatever. All right, so then I continue working down with all the documents that need to be signed and notarized. So I am just going to take a moment to do that. All right, so don't pay me too much attention now. This is an occupancy affidavit. I had a payoff affidavit. I had a signature name affidavit, and I also had a survey affidavit. All right. For the occupancy affidavit, it was an acknowledgement, and there was one signer. Payoff affidavit was acknowledgement, and it was one signer. The signature name affidavit was a jurat, and it was one signer. And the survey affidavit is an acknowledgement, and it was one signer. Okay, so those are the documents that are listed that I actually had, but there were a few documents that were in the packet that are not listed. For example, and this is a Maryland document, Maryland affidavit, refinancing exemption. So there's a Maryland affidavit of refinancing exemption. There was also a refinance closing, can't type, affidavit. There was also refinance as to liens and possessions. I'll be able to type one day. There was a COVID affidavit. And I think that's all. Refinance closing affidavit, refinance the liens and possessions, COVID affidavit. There was simply a refinance affidavit. All right. That's there. Now I need to go back. The Maryland affidavit was an acknowledgement, and again, one person. The refinance closing affidavit was an acknowledgement, one person. Refinance the liens and possessions was a jurat, and one person. The COVID was an acknowledgement, and one person. And the refinance affidavit was acknowledgement, and one person. All right, so now let's take a look at all of our documents here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 documents that we notarized. All right, so technically this first page is all filled in. It's all filled in, we're good to go. Let's take a look at the next page. So the next page, I need to insert where the signing took place. And so again, the signing took place at the signer's home. So 123 Elm Street, Baltimore, Florida, 90210. Were other people in attendance? Nope, not any. Who contacted me? What signing service did I use for this closing? Let's say 123notary.org. That's the name of their the signing service. Who's the lender, or what's the loan number? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's put the loan number as that. Now my fee, I do not put the total my fee was. So let's say my fee was actually $150 to conduct that closing. This book here is just talking really about the notarization itself. And in the state of Maryland, I can only charge $4 per document that needs to be notarized, per notarization. So again, we had 11 documents that need to be notarized. 11 times 4, $44 off of just documents that need to be notarized. So that's what I'm putting here. I never put my full fee. I put that into my accounting system. All right, so the notes, these are the things that I want to remember, things that I want to make note of. So let's say the person had a hearing impairment, thus I had to speak louder. I'd make note of that. signer. Let's say the signer, I don't know. Oh, I've had this happen several times. The signer was experiencing tremors, so their signature is not consistent. I put that down here too. Therefore, if anyone ever contacts me and says, "Hey, there's something up with the guy's signature. Why does it look like this?" I can revert back to my notes and say, "Oh, he was experiencing tremors." Or if ever, I don't want to have to do it, but if ever I have to go to court, that information would be there. If ever the Secretary of State needed a copy of my journal because, I don't know, if somebody's filing a lawsuit that's involved in this closing, they will see, oh, the notary noted some information that could be important to this case. You just never know. So I try to disclose as much as I possibly can. So yeah, that information I put there. And then technically I'm done. So by doing it this way, I am double checking my documents 3 times in essence. 1, while the closing is going on, I'm looking to make sure I haven't missed anything, looking to make sure that they've given me the signature that I need. They're dating it correctly. But then at the end of the closing, I double check the documents. But then while I'm doing my journal information, I'm double checking the documents as well. So I've covered myself 3 times. All right. So let's pretend like we're doing a general notary work. Someone contacts and needs you to go to the nursing home and get something signed. Well, you get to the nursing home and you discover that the borrower's, the signer's driver's license is expired, which happens a lot when you're doing general notary work and you're dealing with people who are residing at a nursing home or an assisted living type situation. Oftentimes their driver's license is expired. And in the state of Maryland, we can't use expired driver's license. So now I do know that some states, or can we? I think something may have changed that says we can use it up to 5 years. Either way, in that situation, we need a credible witness. So the credible witness, you then put in this information. So then you could you'd put the date here, 2022, 11 a.m. So we're pretending this signing here is actually general notary work, and Susie Smith is in the nursing home. She has she has an expired license. You still put that information there, but then you put witness. I typically put credible. Really, goodness, can't type. And then I would put whoever the credible witness is. So let's say Pam Bell, I don't know. And then I would put Pam's information here. That's her driver's license. That's her driver's license number. And then Pam she knows exactly what she's doing. She's acting as a credible witness. You're not technically giving her an oath because she's not signing any of the actual documents, but she has expressed willingness to be a credible witness. She's mentally alert of what's going on, and she has indicated understanding of what's happening. Again, this is a paper document that needs to be notarized. We'd go down here, and let's say if we're doing general notary work at a nursing home, then chances are it'd be one of these documents. If not, we will put it off over here, insert some information there, and then we'd put the signing location where you would put the signing location. So we'd say it's at 123 nursing home in Baltimore, Florida, 90210. List the people that are in attendance. So it doesn't hurt to even put Susie Smith and Pam Bell, but that's up to you. Technically, no one else aside from the 2 people that you've listed up above are in attendance. But if someone else is in the room, you can put their name. Signing service, there would be no signing service because technically you're doing general notary work. There's no loan number because technically you're doing general notary work, so you don't have anything there. There's only 2 documents that may need to be notarized, so then it would be, what, $8? I can include an additional fee for travel and things like that, but whatever the notarization fee is, then that's what I put there. And then I put in this note section, I could say Pam Bell is acting as a credible witness as Susie Smith's driver's license expired in 2001. Susie was, although she was bedridden, she was very alert and aware of what was going on. Seemed happy and excited that I was there and able to take care of these documents for her. Like, I put that information in there because general notary work sometimes makes me feel uneasy, because I certainly wouldn't want anyone to, I don't know, battle over documents that I ended up notarizing and then I have to go to court and all of this. So it kind of makes me uneasy. So I always go way overboard in the notes section when it comes to general notary work, just because I want to, you know, be on my P's and Q's. Of course, this is the stuff that Susie would fill in, and of course Susie would sign. And if I had to give her an oath, then she would also initial. And that's that. So it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. It's painless. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. Whereas this one here would have taken me 50 forevers to fill out 10 pieces. Well, actually, in this case, 11 notarial entries. So by using this journal, it makes things very painless, makes things easier for me, and I can go on and do several notarizations, several closings rather, in a day, and can always come back and amend my journal before I drop the documents off. So I do want to say that, yes, this is the journal that I use, but there are other journals out there. If your journal is slightly different, then you at least know a lot of the information that is in this journal is in other journals, so you at least know what goes in those fields. But like I said, there is a link below that will take you right to Amazon to where this journal can be found. Okay, well, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Please continue to share your suggestions. I think oftentimes I've covered everything, and then I look at the comments and I realize, oh, I'm still missing stuff. So I really appreciate all the suggestions that people leave. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.